What is up, everybody? I am Steve SBU, and I am coming here with you guys for the MMC Draft League that I was invited to, ran by Manaburn, along with some other people such as Meep. Thank you all for inviting me to join this draft. So far, it's been really sick interacting with everyone. I've really enjoyed everything that y'all do, and can't wait for this draft to get started. Alrighty, so with this draft analysis, I'm just going to be going over why I picked all the picks that I did and basically going over what I was going through in my head while I was drafting. Alright, so first off, my first round pick was Ursaluna. I was the first seed to pick in this draft, and I was really going back and forth between Ursaluna base form and Ursaluna Blood Moon. I've really wanted to use Blood Moon form for a long time, but initially when I first started up, I was thinking in the back of my head that with the plan that I was going into, I thought Ursaluna would be the better mon to pick up here, so that's what I eventually ended up doing. Y'all know what Ursaluna does. It can do guts shenanigans, it gets bulletproof, you can run it AV, you can run it banded, you could even do like assault vest, leftovers, you can run it bulky. This thing can just do so much, and with that 140 base attack, that defense and HP stat, like this thing is just thick as hell, can take hits, can give out hits. It's just an absolute monster. You can even run it with Trailblaze to help boost your speed. Honestly, this thing is a good overall pick. Looking now at the rest of the mons that I ended up picking up, I probably would have preferred Blood Moon form, but I am not going to be complaining about this absolute goat of a normal ground type. And then on my second and third round picks, because as being first, I had the wheel pick, I drafted up Glow King and Urshifu Rapid. So I picked up Glow King because I've used it in another league I am currently playing in. I am second place in that league, and Glow King has been the absolute goat when it comes to it. Just the thing can eat an absolute drink hits here. It's got a strong base special attack stat, really low speed, but in all honesty, when it comes to regenerator shenanigans as well as chilly reception for switching, this thing is just so good at facilitating getting other mons in, setting up future sites to absolutely destroy everything in its wake. You can run it with AV if you need to. You can run it with heavy duty boots, lefties, or I guess Black Sludge because you got that grounded poison type. Another thing this thing is really good for. You can set T spikes. You can use Rocky Helmet. Honestly, you can just use this mon for whatever the hell you need it to, and it just does its job so well. And with that, I thought in the back of my head that another Mon would be good for getting, would be another really strong sweeper on the opposite end of Ursaluna, because Ursaluna's speed is kind of crappy. Kind of wanted to fix that a little bit and go with a more fast sweeper. So I ended up picking Urshifu Rapid Strike. Initially, I did not see that Single Strike was banned, so I was actually going to pick up that at first because fighting dark type absolutely goaded, but fighting water really really good typing again, can absolutely dominate most things that would want to come in on either fighting or water types, and crit through really set up mons with any like choice scarf set or a choice band set. Like really good just choice user in general. But even this thing with like heavy duty boots, e-belt isn't too bad. Um, or slapping a citrus on this thing, like again, this thing can just do so much stuff. And like you get stuff like priority aqua jet, you get close combat of course, and you get what's the move, surging strikes, which crits every single time and it hits 3 times. Like, that is an absolutely busted broken move. You can switch with U-turn. You can use taunt if you need to, boost your speed with Trailblaze. You can hit flying types and dragon types with Ice Spinner. You can even do things with like Stone Edge, Thunder Punch. Like this thing, like it gets all the elemental punches. This thing, you really can't go wrong with a well placed Urshifu Rapid. If I'm gonna be honest, I was really hoping to pick up a really goated fighting type, and getting him on like Urshifu Rapid in I guess round three, first pick, really good to see. And the fact that I can hit through Protect and all those things is just really crazy for a wall breaker. But as you probably can see, while my speed isn't awful, like having a max speed of 97 on everything isn't really the best. And I am fairly weak to ground types in general, alongside what's the type? As well as fighting types mainly, but Glowking can usually handle that just fine. But I was thinking that to help with my ground type weakness, I would pick up Thundurus here. I was going back and forth if I wanted, if I wanted Thundurus Incarnate or Thundurus Therian, because Thundurus Therian just hits like an absolute truck. 145 base special attack is absolutely crazy, but its speed is much lower than Thundurus Incarnate, so that is mainly what tips the scales for me. Because with Prankster, I can get priority taunts, thunder waves, tailwinds. I can get all that stuff up if I need to, or even run a physical set with Defiant. That's all possible for me to do with Thundurus, and I could even have it do like a semi bulky set, like a like a like a budget Zapdos almost. Not quite as bulky as Zapdos could be, but at the same time, it's faster than Zapdos. I would say this covers its role fairly well, and it's just a mon that gets me off the ground. It's a really good electric flying type. Like I can I can use bulk up sets, run with physical. I can do nasty plot and getting U turn and volt switch for pivoting. If I want to miss every turn, I can go with Wind Bolt Storm. Um, like honestly, this thing just can do whatever the hell it wants most of the time. I can even set up manual rain if I need to and hit those 100% accurate Wind Bolt Storms with that 20% chance to paralyze. But at that point, might as well just run Thunder. Am I right, guys? But yeah, this thing is just absolutely crazy, in my mind at least. And I feel like it has good synergy with the rest of my team here. And with this next pick, this is sort of when my initial plan was starting to come into question, because here I initially picked up Ogerpon, the stone one, Stonerpong, but after I got to to the end of the draft, I realized, man, I do not have any dark types. I absolutely need a dark type. Ghost spam kind of rolls through my whole team. Ursaluna is the only mon I have that's even immune to it. So I really need to pick up a dark type. And because this was a really tough draft, I didn't really have very many high tier dark types that I could really go to, ones that would be worth my weight. So instead, I decided to drop Ogerpon and pick up Zarude. And that is because, well, 120 base attack, really strong, really good defense, and does help a little bit more with my speed tiers as well. 105 speed, it's nothing to sneeze at. And like getting things like still I get U-turn, close combat, knockoff, stab on that as well as Trailblaze to boost my speed even more. I can run Swords Dance, Sub, and then Power Whip is a strong grass move. The grass dark typing isn't very good defensively. I'd really have to keep an eye on um, incoming U-turns, but for the rest of my team that can usually soak those moves, those bug moves pretty well, I feel like this offers some good synergy with it. And overall, this mon, like, really good choice user, um, good focus sash user as well, be like a mini Meowscarada. I really wish this thing got some sort of hazard setup, but overall, not the worst mon I could pick, I feel like. And shout out to MV, but I could throw out the Fling Big Nugget if I really wanted to. Absolutely goated tech right there from him. Or even if I'm going up against a grassy terrain team, slap on Grassy Glide. Jungle Healing, really good move to get my statuses cured if I happen to get burned. So another um, good soaker of status conditions alongside Ursaluna up here. Like I even like moves like Snarl to help lower special attack of my opponent's manual Sunny Day Solar Blade tech if I really need to do something like that. Like Zarude isn't the best pick that I could have gotten. I was initially hoping to get Bisharp as my dark type, as well as my steel type, but I feel like for what I could do, Zarude can do pretty well in its position here. And then next up, this was on my original plan, I got Florges here. Florges, everyone knows what it does. It absolutely drinks special hits, and it's a really strong special attacker as well. Not, surprisingly, not a bad speed tier and a really good HP stat. Basically, all I really want to be using this thing for would be like possible Calm Mindsets. I could do Draining Kiss. Um, thing I could even do Stored Power Tech if I wanted to. Wish passing. I could trick choice specs onto things if I really want to. Like I can even use chilling water if I absolutely have to. Set up dual screens. Like basically just be it the cleric for the team, being able to support everyone else. So that's basically what Floor just does. Everyone knows what it does, and it does its job pretty well as a mid to high tier fairy type wall. And then next up, we're going to be going for the second half of the team. So next up, after Florges on that wheel pick, I ended up going with Skeletors here. Skeletors is not as good as it is with Terra because in the MMC we have banned Terra as well as um, Dynamax and Z moves, but we do keep around Megas. But as you can see with my team, I did not happen to have a Mega that really fit on my team very well. But all that aside, Skeletor's still a really good physical tank, high HP stat, high defense stat, and with Unaware, this thing, it's tough to break through this thing even without Terra. And it's a good spin blocker on my team as well, and a pretty good fire type. Boost up with Torch Song. Everyone knows what Dirge does. But I could even do flame charge sets, boosting up my speed, spread Will-O-Wisp everywhere, get slack off, could do rest sleep, could do rest talk, um, spread yawn if I really need to. Like everyone knows what Dirge does, but it's Dirge gonna Dirge, honestly, man. Like this thing, even without Terra, I think this thing will get a few kills within the season. And then my next pick, it was initially going to be Regidrago, and the reason for that is, well, I just really needed a dragon type if I'm going to be completely honest. Um I just needed something to spam strong dragon moves. Um but after looking at it, Regidrago is just really one note. It does its job fairly well, but like almost never going to bring it because everyone knows what it's going to do. However, Flygon gives me another ground type, which, yeah, it's a repeat type, but if you're going to repeat any type, I feel like ground is a fairly decent one to keep around, especially considering I can usually handle ice pretty well, as you can see with the rest of my picks. But the main reason I picked up Flygon, well, I didn't quite gonna put it in the Dex Legacy format. Um, this thing can just do so much. It offers more defog support because that's one thing that I noticed that my team really struggled with was keeping hazards off. So it offers some defog support. It's got a really good special move pool. I can set up D-Dance. I get really good physical moves like EQ. I can get Outrage, First Impression. This thing's also a rocker as well, I believe. If I remember correctly, well, it doesn't seem like it. Well, whatever. It also has pivoting with U-turn. I can spread Toxic. It's another Tailwind user if I really need to do that. I could even do a mini Garchomp tech with Scale Shot because it got that as well in here somewhere. But yeah, like Flygon, it's also another ground immunity. It's always good to have those in drafts, especially considering that like other than Thundurus, uh, don't really have very many other mons that can eat ground type moves that well, other than I guess Zarude as well. But it just gives me a little bit more depth than say Regidrago would. And of course, like Draco Meteors are gonna hurt even coming off of like a bit of a mediocre special attack stat. And then next off, this was another mon that I ended up um, picking up in Grace over Aggron. It's Cobalion, and the reason I picked up this mon is, well, look at that defense stat. It's basically it does whatever Aggron needed to do, but even better. It's got a superior typing in steel fighting, another fighting type. Granted, it's not the best, but it's not the worst either. Not really having a steel type that resists fairies kind of suck, but having Dirge here to eat some fairy hits isn't the worst thing in the world. And this thing can, it just does a lot. It can set up rocks, it can pivot using Volt Switch, it can be ran physical or special, having very similar attacking stats. It can be run defensively with like a Rocky helmet. You can even slap on an assault vest on this thing, and with 108 speed, like it's got really good speed tiers, and it's got a pretty deep move pool with close combat. You can get your stab Iron Head, it gets Mega Horn. You can slap on Poison Jab for fairies, Sacred Sword to ignore stat changes on things. You can even do Rock Polish, Swords Dance sets, Spread Paralysis with Thunder Wave. Like I said, Volt Switch. You can even you can do a bunch of different stuff. Um, and it can just do a lot of things really well. There's a lot of gimmicky moves in here that it can set up, like with Magnet Rise. Um, but yeah, this thing just does its job really well. You can set up with Calm Mind as well if you want to run a special variant with Focus Blast. Like this thing, you can even set up Reflect if you need to. Again, like I said, rocks, get Steel Beam. Like can just do its job really well and does a lot of different things if I need it to. Very in-depth Pokemon. And now for the 1 point goat, we have Why Not. Y'all y'all will be sleeping on this thing. I'll bring this thing, trap your mons, encore you into a setup move, switch them out, and then spread paralysis everywhere. Or better yet, I'll just hit you with that fat counter Mirror Coat, Destiny Bond. Like, having this thing at 1 point as a trapper, yeah, of course, it's significantly worse than Wobbuffet, but like at 95 HP, like that's gonna be if I hit y'all with a counter Mirror Coat, that's killing. That's killing everything. And like because of course I want to take more damage, slap like a Focus Sash on this thing alongside just speed because you don't really want any like defenses. You want to take as much as damage as possible. Then boom, now I got like a mon that can counter, mirror coat, debond, so you can't knock me out. I can spread tickle shenanigans. I could I could run splash. I will. I will do it. Keep myself safe with safeguard so I can't get toxic. Charm y'all down. Like everyone knows what Why Not does. It's gonna do Why Not things. But hey, if this little guy even just gets one kill, I am happy. Well, good luck to the rest of y'all this season in the MMC. Looking forward to playing y'all. I really hope y'all have a good rest of your seasons, and I hope y'all like my tech that I brought. We'll see how well it turns out once the season gets started. All right, see y'all. Bye.